Dodge is bringing back the Demon for one last run, and this time it makes over 1,000 horsepower, which is 300 horsepower more than this Hellcat, and this thing's nuts. This Demon could very well be the fastest and lastest new gas-powered American muscle car ever made. And that got me feeling pretty sad and nostalgic. So today, we're gonna talk about the fastest American cars ever made to see how we ended up with this. I'm Zach.
I'm Germ.
Welcome to Donut.
Where is it? I know I put it in here.
Looking for this? Forget that bulky mess and check out today's sponsor, Exter.
Are you a talking wallet?
I'm the Exter wallet, the smartest wallet you'll ever own.
Smart? How could a wallet be smart?
I've got the capacity to hold over 12 cards, pal. Give you instant access with one click, RFID protect you from data thieves, help track down your lost phone or wallet across the globe, and even make you a cup of coffee.
You can't make me a cup of coffee.
Okay, I can't make coffee, but I can make your life easier. Tell 'em.
To get your own Exter wallet, visit shop.exter.com/donutmedia to save up to
25%.
by using that discount code donutmedia or click the link below.
Jerry, you got American muscle running through your blood, right?
I do. I love me a good American muscle car.
Yeah, me too. I mean, that's what I grew up on, you know? So, to kick this thing off, let's talk about arguably the very first muscle car. The brainchild of John DeLorean, the 1964 Pontiac Tempest GTO. So, with the GTO package, you got Pontiac's massive 421 cubic inch V8, which pumped out 320 horsepower. And for the mid-60s, that was a ton of power in a relatively dainty little car. It had a 0 to 60 time of 4.6 seconds, which is still pretty quick by today's standards. And the GTO kicked off the muscle car movement of the 60s. But there's another muscle car from that era that one-upped the GTO. Jared, do you know what that car is?
I do. The Shelby Cobra. Carroll Shelby was like, hey boys, why don't we put an even bigger engine in an even smaller car? Yeehaw! He chose a small British roadster called the AC Cobra, went over to Ford and was like, this little crumpet needs some American muscle. So Ford gave him a few engines. The result was fantastic. So over the next few years, Shelby kept refining the Cobra, and the biggest, baddest one was the MK3. It had upgraded suspension and big old wide fenders. But the most significant addition was the 427 cubic inch, that's 7 full liters of Pepsi RC Cola Hog Dog V8. The massive engine puts out 425 horsepower, which is absolutely insane for a car that weighs less than 2,500 pounds.
Yeah, that weighs about the same as a Miata and makes way more power.
Yeah, that's scary. And all that power gave it a 0 to 60 time in 3.9 seconds.
That's fast.
Snake bite!
Oh, God.
Soon after this, the gas crisis threw a big throbbing wrench in the cogs of progress. For years, nothing even came close to being as quick as the Shelby Cobra. Not the Fox Body Mustang, not the Buick GNX, not even a Pontiac Fiero.
Almost. But during this time in the 1980s, supercars outside of America, they were hitting a new stride. Technology was advancing and power was being wrung out in ways we had never seen before. The problem was, most of that was happening overseas. American car companies were just barely starting to wake up from the malaise era. But one small company called Vector was working on an exotic, domestic supercar that could rival anything on the Autobahn. And this car was the twin-turbo Vector W8. And in a lot of ways, the W8 was ahead of its time. The monocoque chassis was made out of carbon fiber and Kevlar. The twin-turbo 365 cubic inch aluminum pushrod V8 was fitted with intercooled Garrett turbos and cranked out a claimed 625 horsepower at only 8 pounds of boost.
Woo!
But Jerry, when that boost was cranked up to 14 PSI at the dyno, the W8 made an insane 1,200 horsepower.
Dang.
When Car and Driver tested it, they were able to get to 60 miles an hour in 3.8 seconds. That's fast. Faster than the Cobra, and way faster than the Fiero. And this brings us to the 90s. A funny thing happened in the 90s. There was a big push for more power in road cars, but this time it wasn't the Americans. This time it was German muscle.
Oh!
Cars like the Audi S8, BMW E39 M5, the Porsche 928 GTS, and the Mercedes 500e that really put the Americans on blast.
But Dodge had already been working on a secret project since the late 80s to rival even the fastest European roadsters. Dodge debuted the first-gen Viper in 1991. Dodge had help from Lamborghini Lamborghini with development of the 8-liter V8.
I didn't know that.
Well, yeah, Chrysler owned Lamborghini.
I didn't know that.
And here's the thing you might not also know.
Probably not.
It made 400 horsepower and it propelled the Viper from 0 to 60 in 4.6 seconds.
Hey, we're going backwards.
I know, but it didn't take long before that number started dropping. In 1996, Dodge released the Viper GTS with 50 more horsepower, so a total of 450, and that was able to shave off half a second from the 0 to 60, resulting in a time of 4 seconds flat. Then in 2003, the Viper SRT10 was able to break the 4-second barrier at 3.9 seconds. And by the last generation, the best production version, the Viper ACR, and its 645 horses, was able to go 0 to 60 in 3.4 seconds.
Woo! That's quick.
That's so fast. But you know what car is next on this list that's very beautiful?
And beautiful to everyone.
Yes.
The Ford GT. Now, the Viper was one of the first cars of the retro futuristic movement that happened in the 90s and 2000s, but Ford made one of the most memorable. Harkening back to the Ford vs. Ferrari days of the 60s, Ford debuted the GT, a modern homage to the GT40 that raced in Le Mans. This mid-engine sports car won several awards, including the gold at the Clio Product Design Awards, something that I am very familiar with.
Are you?
No. But the GT has substance to back up its incredible looks. Under the hood, or rear hood, is Ford's twin-turbocharged 3.5-liter EcoBoost V6, putting down 647 horses to the rear wheels. I know. Car and Driver was able to get it up to 60 miles an hour in just 3 seconds flat.
Dang, that's boot,
quick.
scoot, and boogie.
That is.
Now, another American-made supercar that uses a Ford engine is the Saleen S7. Now, Steve Saleen started designing this beast with hopes that it could compete with the McLaren F1, which was the fastest production car for like 10 years and a benchmark for every modern supercar. But what happened was that the S7 ended up being even faster.
Ooh, sorry, McLaren.
Using a massive 7-liter big block Ford V8, the original Saleen S7 debuted in the year 2000. And even then, it was hitting numbers that slightly edged out the F1. I'm talking 0 to 60 times in 3.3 seconds compared to the F1's 3.4 seconds.
Slow.
But Stevie Boy wasn't happy with being slightly better than the McLaren. So in 2005, they debuted the twin turbo version of the S7, which saw a power increase from 550 horses all the way up to 750 bustling ponies.
Whoa! That's hard to hang on to.
Hang on there, Charlie. The new S7 was able to hit 60 in just 2.8 seconds, blowing everyone's pants off in the process. People were like, where are my britches?
Thank God mine are still on.
That was an incredible feat of engineering. Saleen helped usher us into an era of modern hypercars. We are now in the sub 3-second territory, and this is where things get a little crazy.
You know what's a great practical vehicle to do some around town errands?
Toyota Previa.
Okay, and
The Toyota 4Runner.
also
What are you getting at?
this thing right
Oh, a Dodge Hellcat. Yeah, the Hellcat was a huge deal when it came out. It kind of broke the mold. The most powerful American car at the time, obviously not anymore, but this one makes 717 horsepower.
Man, this thing really brought high horsepower to the masses at
Yeah.
a fraction of the cost.
Yeah, I remember when it came out, it was like unbelievable.
Yeah, you're like,
no,
oh,
700 horsepower?
you just gonna let a 16-year-old be able to buy that?
Guess so. And that's what America is founded on. So this thing does 0 to 60 in 3.5 seconds, which for a car that weighs 4,400 pounds,
Yeah, she's a heifer.
that's impressive as hell. Anybody can just go buy one, which is crazy to think when it does 3.5 seconds 0 to 60. That's only 1/10 of a second slower than the Dodge Viper ACR, which you kind of think of as like a holy grail, like almost unattainable car.
Yeah,
But
American supercar.
Yeah, but then you've got this big old car with all sorts of creature comforts. It's a great place to be, something you can actually run errands in.
Yeah, there's something about when you get behind the wheel of this thing, it
Yeah.
kind of turns you into a little bit of a road jerk.
Yeah, what do you think it is?
Now, part of the reason that we have insane cars like this in America is because of the big three battling it out. But always at the top of that list was the Corvette, and specifically the Corvette ZR1. Now, the C8 is already kind of a bonkers car. Mid-engine, American-made supercar, whether or not it's supercar or not. But it will be in supercar territory when they come out with the ZR1. It's gonna have a 5.5-liter flat plane crank with not one, but 2 turbos on it.
Woo-hoo-hoo.
And those turbos bring the horsepower up to 850 ponies and 850 foot-pounds of torque for a perfect horsepower.
Okay, moving on. It's gonna get faster from here. We talked about this next car in an episode of Wheelhouse a while back. I'm talking about the SSC Tuatara. The Tuatara was in development for 7 years before it debuted in 2018. It's named after a reptile that has the fastest molecular evolution of any animal in the world.
I can evolve fast too. I got a tail.
The body was designed by someone who had previously designed cars at Pininfarina, and under the hood featured a 5.9-liter flat plane crank V8, which is tuned to make 1,750 horsepower on E85 gas.
That's reasonable.
But when SSC took it to the dyno, it made 1,890 horsepower. Although the top speed is disputed, there's no disputing that this is an incredible machine. The 0 to 60 time of the Tuatara is a spectacular 2.6 seconds.
Whoa.
Now, we only have a few more cars on this list, and it's only gonna get more ridiculous from here on out.
Now, when Dodge announced the Challenger SRT Demon in 2018, it was basically like a middle finger to the car industry. As companies were focusing on making smaller, more efficient engines, Dodge came out with a 6.2-liter supercharged Hemi V8, which makes 808 horsepower on regular gas. But if you wanted a little bit more, let's say 840, you could do that if you had 100 plus octane. This car was so fast that the NHRA did actually ban it from drag racing because it'll do a freaking wheelie.
Yeah,
For Vin's sake.
for Vin Diesel's sake. Yeah, the banning thing was, I mean, that was always just because it went too fast to not have a roll cage, right?
Right.
So it was banned unless you put a roll cage in it.
And it's no wonder the NHRA banned it because it does 0 to 60 in 3 seconds. But here's the thing, if you were to prep it on a drag strip, the Demon can hit 60 in 2.1 seconds.
Now our next car, Joby, is a car that is in response to the Demon.
Oh, really?
Now the Demon did some interesting stuff because it got its 0 to 60 time down real low because it used a prep surface to hit that time. So this next car, this person, you could say, has an ego, wants to go into space. You could even say he wanted to build the fastest American car ever made. Do you know who that guy is?
Bill Gates?
Close.
My dad?
Joby's daddy, Elon Musk. Now Tesla had very specific guidelines when getting a 0 to 60 time when they debuted their halo car, the Model S Plaid. Named after a dumb joke from a 35-year-old movie that a 50-year-old thought was a peak comedy.
What's that movie?
Spaceballs?
That's it.
The Plaid boasts 1,020 horsepower.
That's a lot.
Hopping in your Plaid and mashing on the accelerator pedal isn't enough to achieve Tesla's claimed 0 to 60 time. For that, you need to put it in park, navigate to the drag strip mode through the infotainment system, then you wait for about 10 to 15 minutes for your car to prep itself for the brutal launch.
That's insane, 10 to 15 minutes?
I ain't got time for that.
Nah.
So the batteries in the motor are cooled, then it lowers into cheetah stance.
They got a name for everything.
Then if you launch it correctly, you can pilot your Plaid to 60 in just 1.98 seconds.
Whoa, first time we're going to the Hundies.
Yeah, Tesla probably calls it insanity mode, mental facility mode, who knows? But you know what, there's another car on this list that's a little bit sicker and a little bit faster.
Oh, really? Is it the Zinger 21C VMAX?
Dude, you're really good at guessing.
Yeah, this thing is absolutely incredible. First off, it was developed with the help of AI. It's 3D printed. It features a twin-turbo 2.8-liter V8 plus 2 electric motors. Altogether, all the motors make 1,250 horsepower, and it redlines at 11,000 RPM.
Woo!
Yeah, that's awesome.
Singing.
Now, would you believe this car scoots up to 60 miles an hour in only 1.88 seconds? 10th faster than the Tesla S Plaid. Okay, and we finally made it to the last car on the list, and just like Chekhov's gun, we mentioned it in the beginning. If you would have been paying attention, you would know the car we're talking about is the new 2023 Dodge Challenger SRT Demon 170. Bigger and badder than ever, the Demon 170 gets its new name from the fact that it runs on E85, and E85 is 170 proof. The 2018 Demon boasted 840 horsepower, but the new one tops that at 1,025 horsepower. That's 4 figures, baby. It features the same 6.2-liter supercharged Hemi V8 as the last, and the Demon is the most powerful of Dodge's last call series. These are all V8 Challengers and Chargers meant to celebrate the end of the internal combustion era. The series includes the Black Ghost Challenger, with
Spooky.
a gator skin roof.
Oh, hell yeah.
Right
Florida.
up your alley.
Yeah.
Charger King Daytona.
Another Florida. Cool as heck.
Charger and Challenger Swingers.
Also Florida.
Yeah. We got the Charger Super Bee and the Challenger Shakedown. That's a bunch of cool names. But the winner is by far the Demon with 1,025 horsepower and a 0 to 60 time of an insane 1.6 seconds. I didn't even know you could do that.
Dude, you don't need a couple $1,000,000 to go sub to.
Yeah, that's the thing. Starts at $103,000.
To go 1.6 seconds. And
That's crazy.
That's
You could just buy
moving.
that. Anybody could just buy that and do that. That's a weapon.
we should buy one. Those are some fast American cars, and I can only imagine what's gonna happen down the road with electric.
You think we could ever get into the negative seconds?
Do you go back in time? Mm-hmm. Yeah, probably. Thank you guys so much for watching this and everything else at Donut. If you think gas might be on the way out, click this video right here. Zach Job went all the way down to where?
Chile.
Let's find some alternative fuels to potentially save the combustion engine.
That's right.
Follow Zach at Zach Job. Follow me at Jeremiah Burton. Follow us at Donut Media.
Bye-bye.
Bye.